Hello, everybody. Well, I thought I'd start by front running the live stream by a minute, so I hope you don't mind. I'm sure people will catch up. Most people just watch these live streams after the event took place anyway, which is fine, perfectly fine. So we've got 18 of you now. I was thinking maybe towards the end of this, maybe after an hour, I might open it up to the general public. Do you know what I mean? It's up to you guys. So you get all your questions in. And then we'll just. So I just, I want to go viral. It's not really. I just feel like, on days like today, it might help my channel, and my channel needs all the help it can get. To be honest with you, right, we're back down to 3 viewers again. I know that something is definitely not right with YouTube telling us who's viewing and who's not. It's up to 6. It's all over the place. Right, so you don't need me to tell you, I suppose, what's going on with the market. Everything seems to be doing what we kind of expected it to. And I'm not saying that, that to be like, I told you, or anything like that. I mean, it could have gone either way. When I was saying get into a larger Bitcoin position, it was as much a hedge against a drop than it was a pump, and obviously the pump has been extremely bullish. We'll just admire the pump for what it is. It's basically riding pretty much above all the moving averages for the vast majority of the time. Touches the 7, touches the 10, touches the 7. It's very, very bullish, and it reminds me of what was going on last year, pretty much this time last year. In fact, it's more bullish for the most part than it was last year, but there was a very large portion of the price action when it broke its all-time high. Look, 20,000 broken. We rode above all major moving averages, touched the 10, touched the 7, above them all again. A liquidation, liquidation wick, bought straight back up, 10, above all major moving averages, and then we reached more or less, these peaks, really, these kind of peaks. And this $40,000 area, I suppose, was a peak, but so was the. So I suppose this was the main sort of peak where we were thinking about Bitcoin sort of switching sides and the movement into altcoins at that point. It was a dangerous situation because the money flow index peaked around those levels. The wick all up here at 41, the money flow index all the way up here at 95. It was dangerous to even consider being in the market at that time, but it was such an obvious position to flip into into altcoins at that point. I reference this all the time, but someone on the Telegram asked me to talk about what happened last year, and I was saying, it does remind me of a little bit of like what happened last year, and it kind of does. So you've seen how bullish Bitcoin is now. We're above all major moving averages, and we're pretty much surfing the top side of the Bollinger Band, pulling back only when we really pop or pop outside, and then coming back down to, sometimes nothing, sometimes nothing at all. Just previous price action, if anything, and very bullish moving averages. So it's very bullish, almost too bullish. And like I say, we've just referenced that area on the chart there. Now, what I was referring to when I said it reminds me a little bit of last year, it was the way that alts and Bitcoin basically battled it out. Now there is differences, right? There's dramatic differences outside of the chart that I was just going to talk about before we go into details, right? So we'll look at everything from the 1st of September. So this is where things got interesting. 1st of September, Bitcoin dumped, and then slowly but surely, casually in fact, broke above the $10,000 area, started to break bullish, and then went very bullish, and then continued to find its peak, which is around this area. This was the peak, right? That was the Bitcoin peak, and the alt season began. But during this period, and this is why I've got these charts up, we didn't see such a move. And I've brought up the Bitcoin pairs instead of the Tether pairs because it just makes it a little more clearer for us to see what actually happened during this time. So this is the 2021 into 21. So we got our 1st of September dump with Bitcoin, and then from there, poor old Ethereum just basically went down. It doesn't mean that it went down with its dollar value. It actually went up, but not much. It did okay, but it was underperforming versus Bitcoin. And then everything turned a corner on January the 1st, more or less, and this is where alt season began. This is where Bitcoin's peak was, right? So Bitcoin's peak was here, sort of second week in January, and altcoins basically started to turn around. So here we are, 3rd of January, and if we go to the dominance chart, Again, I know I'm boring you all to death with these sort of things, but this is what I mean. And so the 3rd of January, that was the Bitcoin peak, and the rest is history. So that's the Ethereum chart that we've looked at. So we reference Ethereum because it's, ideally the strongest thing, next to Bitcoin. And I always reference Harmony One because this is what can happen to altcoins. So let's have a look at this. So where's September 1st? Here we go. So September 1st, and you don't need me to tell you what that looks like. Looks terrible. All the way till January 3rd, where altcoins bottomed out, right? And again, let's measure this for dramatic effect. We'll just do it from there because it's only fair. From the 2nd of September, just for dramatic effect, 86% retrace before it actually worked out in the end. But until it worked out, there was pain. And so when I talk about blanket statements like alts will, I suppose, get wrecked, or alts will be destroyed, it's clickbait stuff, but I mean it's also true. It's based on previous performance in a similar scenario, right, to what's happening now. So I know you've heard it all before, but sometimes I feel like it's worth reiterating these sort of things. This sort of thing can happen, and has happened, and this is the thing that I was afraid of the entire time. Whether that was because Bitcoin was bullish or Bitcoin was bearish, when the Bitcoin dominance is so low, it's a hedge against both sides. Bitcoin's either going to go up and likely outperform alts, or it's going to break down and you'll get hurt less in a Bitcoin position than you would in an altcoin position. So, like I say, I'm not saying I'm a mega genius or anything. I'm just saying that it's a hedge, and you've been watching me for a while now, and I'm like the boy that cried wolf. I'm the boy that cried Bitcoin dominant support. I said it the entire time down. Every time we came to a support, I did the same strategy. Let's get into a larger Bitcoin position just in case. All right, no problem. I'll carry on with the party. Let's get into a larger Bitcoin position. Oh no, let's not. Okay, let's get into a larger Bitcoin position. And this time around, it helped. It did help. It helped cushion me from the blow of the entire market dropping. So it did help, but not in the way that it helped this time round, which now I'm obviously making money. This time round I lost less money by hedging into Bitcoin as a result. And so and then obviously the market dumped, and Bitcoin did outperform to an extent, and then the rest is history. Then it was only about 2 or 3 weeks ago where I openly told everybody that I've made the choice to move into a larger Bitcoin position, not because we touched support again. It was around these zones where I did it. I didn't do it at support. I did it around here where we reclaimed moving averages, and so now again, it's the same as I was saying before. We could be looking at a micro rotation at this level. The market appears to be healthy. There's no reason why alts can't have a little rally and outperform Bitcoin. Maybe because it is a different market now. Maybe this is it. Maybe alts do from this point forward outperform Bitcoin. I don't think they will, because I just don't think that's the case. But it could. Like I say, I am the boy that cried Bitcoin dominant support. So I underestimate alts all the time. As much as I love them, I do underestimate the power. So what I was going to say is that that was the situation last year. So that's all it took from here to here. That's all we were looking at. So September the 1st to January pretty much the 1st. That's all it took. And so we're looking for a similar kind of vibe. Whether we bring ourselves up to 52 or maybe 57 to 58, it can have and will have on some altcoins a really nasty effect. Definitely versus their sats anyway. But again, this could be it. We could just rally from here. Alts could rally from here. So I'm not saying that this is definitely when I'm looking at charts and making, I suppose, predictions and breaking things down, it doesn't mean that I will die by my what I'm saying has to be true. It's not the case. No one knows exactly what's happening, and this is what I always try to put across to people, and you all get it. I'm not one of these moon boy YouTubers that says it has to happen. Nothing has to happen at all. But in the way that I've decided to play the game is that I've narrowed down the odds to the point where I think that this is the best strategy, whether it's for more profit or less losses in a Bitcoin position. And given what we saw last year and what I've just explained to you and just what I've shown you, it can be pretty deadly either way in an altcoin position if Bitcoin dominance is rising. doesn't mean that you will lose money versus the dollar, although that could happen in some alts. It's probably not going to be the case for the most part, but for some alts, probably, you know, that can happen. But the market is definitely different, and this is something I was just going to reference just quickly, and then we'll go on to everything else. So the total market cap, including Bitcoin, let's have a look at what this looked like in September the 1st. So this is the end of the month here. Look at the market cap on the bottom wick. 300 billion, right, was the market cap of the entire market back down there where we were looking at just a moment back, right? So that was the that was the market cap of everything. Everything combined was that, right? And then when we reached our peak over here before the alt season began, we'd increased to 1.13 trillion, so 1,135 billion. So that's a fair old amount of money gone into the market, mostly gone into Bitcoin. So yeah, and that's pretty much, you can see the altcoin, the Bitcoin gains. Bitcoin basically did a 300% rally. So a fair old rally took place for that, and this is a dramatic amount of money that went into the market. You know, I always talk about, you know, the market is generally doesn't trade much more than $500 billion for the vast majority of its time. That's usually the peak is about half a trillion anyway. And then we just saw that huge amount of money going to mostly Bitcoin. All right, so let's just think about what happened here. So that was the peak. Then the alt season began, and what we ended up seeing was the market cap of cryptocurrency increase from that point there to the tip over here, just short of 800% rally of the market cap. Right, so you know the reason we like shitcoins and altcoins, especially the shitcoin ones, is because they are low market cap and they are the ones that offer the biggest gains, right? Massive amounts of money can go into small market caps, and it's the same with stock markets, right? Same with anything, penny stocks, the lot. It's the same idea. You know, small market caps, it's like being at the top of a Ponzi scheme. You're in first, let every pound or dollar that flows into your pocket. You're in at the bottom, and it doesn't take much for those green candles to be formed, because, you know, basically you're a low market cap. By the time it's finished, it's massive. So what I'm going to say now probably won't be very popular, and it probably, I mean, I will make a video on it, but, you know, for YouTube, but it's not going to go down very well. But let's think about what we're looking at here. So from here to here, so this is the Bitcoin breakout and the alt season of this year so far, reaching basically 800%. We'll just call it 800% rally. So that's an increase in market cap. If we were to do anything similar to that, so we've got to talk about 800% from where we are at, let's just say right now, 800% rally. I mean, it's just going to take us, we'll exceed gold. Gold's what, a 12 trillion or something like that. Yeah, I mean, it's not going to happen, right? And so this is why one of the main reasons I favor the rotation, because why when we look at these coins, a lot of people want me to look at things like ADA or Matic, and I say to them, all right, we'll have a look, but the majority of that move is got to be done, because those things have done 2, 3, 4, 500x, not just percent, but x's from their lows to where they are right now. So unless you were in at the bottom of those things when they were low market caps and low value, the majority of the move is done. It's you just there's not much left in it. You could probably double, triple, quadruple your money at best, but you're not going to be doing the massive amounts that people did back when they got back involved in 2019 and 20. The same would apply, I would say, to this chart. So as much as this is bullish and it does urge continuation, things aren't going to have the same. I don't see how some of these coins that we hold dear to us are going to be doing massive gains, as in like X's. There will be some. This is why I've gravitated to places like KuCoin and the smaller exchanges that offer the shit coins, basically, because they're the ones that will offer these sort of opportunities. But the ones with large market caps, we're talking about increasing this market cap in general to maybe doubling from where we are right now. So that'd be a 5 trillion market cap. That would be pretty good going, right, before the bubble pops. Now look, it could go higher than that. Of course it could. It could go It could go anywhere. It's not for me to say, but being realistic, when we saw the gains of the market cap here being just short of 800%, and it's impossible for us to do an 800% rally again on this market cap, which means that the alt season that we've already had, this one here, was the most. That's the biggest one, right? That I don't think we're going to see anything like that again until the bubble pops, and maybe we start the market all over again. 6 to 12 months later after that, then we can scrape the floor, and look at what opportunities might be left, when the dust has settled. But now what we're doing is we're going to have a continuation of the bull market. For those who are still holding altcoins, some of these altcoins that we're buying back down here, I still hold them. So yeah, I mean, the party is still on for me, and for a lot of you, I imagine that if held on to those from such low levels, the party is still on. But for those who are looking to who are expecting, hundreds of X's at this level from new entries, you'll be in the minority. You'd have to be not particularly clever, but you'd have to have a good think about where it is you're going to select such a token, and so like I say, it's not a very popular idea, and one that I suppose is going to put a bit of a downer on a day like today. But realistically, the biggest gains have already been made, and what we're having now is a continuation of the bull market. And yeah, there will likely be some significant gains, and no altcoin is created equal, and we talk about rotations, and this is why it's important to play these rotations, is because we're not relying just on new money. This is new money. This is all the new money that enters or exits the market. We are thinking of this as well, which is money going from alts into Bitcoin or from Bitcoin into altcoins. So this is where we can get clever, and this is why I talk about the rotations, because this has been, until recently, this has been the best way to try and make the money out of crypto, because crypto traded less than $500 billion for, well, pretty much its entire life, really. It's very rarely was it ever above there. It's generally quite a lot lower, as we've just seen. So rotations were the best way to play it, and they are still the best way to play it now, probably more so than they have been in the last year, because last year we had an 800% increase in market cap. Now what we might be looking is another 100% increase in market cap, maybe a little bit more. And so yeah, new money is good, especially when it enters your coin, but if we're not relying on the new money, which I say that we're not going to be getting the ultimate gains that we were before from all the new money entering the market, the rotation is going to be a key area of making the most out of what we've got. So people like to shoot me for talking about Bitcoin dominance and like saying, I'm playing the rotation game. I mean, that's the reason. I think the biggest gains are already in. I think we should think about the rotation as the best way to make the most gains, because it's unrealistic to imagine the market cap increasing by more than 200% now. I mean, it could happen, but I think it's unrealistic. We already saw an 800% increase in market cap. It's impossible for that to happen again. It would be twice the market cap of gold, like I say, if it did do that. It just is very unlikely to happen. So the biggest gains are already in for new money, but the money that came in is already there, but now it's swinging around from Bitcoin, and we'll go back into altcoins, and then probably back into Bitcoin, and then out into everybody's pocket. So this is, again, another area of planning that we need to be ready for. Right, so hopefully that rambling all made sense. And another thing, actually, before we go any further, just a separate event. Dixie coming down, which is nice to see. Doesn't mean that that this is an official downtrend. It's not yet, but it could be. And again, we'll be looking for us to close daily candle bodies within this box here for it to officially be over. However, it does look pretty much like it is over already. So again, all these things that we've been waiting for, as in like Bitcoin dominance going up, ride the Bitcoin wave, look for entries, and leverage positions if you're that way inclined when Dixie starts to officially break down, which it hasn't yet. We need to break down into here. It's the perfect storm, really. It's all kind of worked out. It's all been planned. We've been planning this, or talking about it anyway. I've been planning it and doing it, but I've been talking about it and we've been discussing it now for weeks, or probably even longer than that, really. and it's coming to fruition. But again, you know, it's sometimes these things get lost in translation because I'm a bit of a rambler, and also because I base most of my trades on weekly charts, which means that if I make things on a daily basis, you know, the overall message can kind of get lost in the noise itself. But it's still been the same strategy, and it's the strategy I'm going to continue to employ. And that is pretty much it. So, like I say, it's not a downer when I'm talking about the market cap only going up by 100 or 200% from here. I'm just trying to put things into perspective for you. That yeah, the last alt season that we had from January to, let's just say, April was epic. It was unlike any alt season that's been before. There had been similar ones, like after COVID. You know, that was decent. But yeah, I mean, that was a one-off, and it was pretty awesome. And you just need to look at the chart to recognize how epic that was. This was different. This isn't really an alt season. I mean, it obviously is, but this is, you know, the altcoins didn't really exist, and so when they came into existence, it was a highly speculative, everything pumped. And I've spoken about it before. So the dominance chart only really started to become something, mid bear market, and then was a very tradable chart. Yeah, well, not tradable in itself, but you know what I mean, a very useful chart in trading. Yeah, when the bull market started again in 2019. Right, so I assume everybody's logged off by now because it was pretty boring. What's going on here? Is this working? Is it all working? Can somebody let me know if this is working, because that was a bit weird. I just came on to see something weird go on. Let me just go on to Telegram. Is everybody complaining, or is it still working? Oh, it's still working for some reason. I'm having some issues with my internet. I don't know what the problem is there. Right, so let's get started then, shall we? So I imagine there's a lot to get through here, and I will open it up to the public, but you guys are the priority, obviously, so get all your messages in. Right, so will we see Bitcoin pull back soon, and what levels do I expect it to pull back to? Well, like I said, you know, Bitcoin is really bullish, so I'm sure, just like if we see, like, you know, the example we showed last time where things got very bullish, so this is where it really picked up pace. It was very bullish, and then we did pull back. So this is this is when I was referring to the liquidity grab before. Remember, that's exactly what this was. We approached the previous all-time high, dumped down into it, and then powered through. And yeah, you're going to get dumps, but when something's this bullish, and again, it is massively bullish. Look from here to here, we've got a very high money flow index. Over here to here, it's a very high money flow index. There's no sort of bearish divergence on the daily. Let's check on the 4-hourly. So I've not really even looked at it properly today. So yeah, you've got bearish divergence on the 4-hourly, but it's not much. In fact, I'd probably say that it's just been cancelled out actually with the last big stab up. So that you will get dumps, I'm sure. But it's in a way, it's almost like at this stage now, when something's doing this, you just have to let it run. And I couldn't tell you where the pullback will be and where it's going to go down to, but of course there will be a pullback. There's going to be a lot of leverage going on at these levels, and especially with everybody going crazy on Twitter and YouTube. I dread to think what YouTube looks like right now. I dread to think what the faces are on people's thumbnails. What the hell is going on there? I can imagine it'd be like a male brothel with all those open mouths, you know, on those thumbnails right now. I wouldn't not be able to bear it, but you can imagine. And so that, yeah, of course, there's euphoria entering the market. Everyone's going bloody crazy. There will be a dump. I can't tell you what it's going to go down to, but what I would say is look at the moving averages. Look at how bullish it's been. You know, it's getting bought back up at every smallest opportunity. You know, the 7 simple is the most bullish place you can get bought back on, and pretty much most of the time that's where we came down to. If that was now, that would be 62,000. 10 simple, 10 exponential is just 61,000, and then we've got the top of this, what was resistance is now probably going to be support, which is at 60,000. So I would be surprised to see us break down below 60,000. And again, you know, of course, anything is possible, you know, of course. But for the moment, it's just too bullish. And this is what we should just enjoy this. I know if you're thinking about, obviously, where is it going to come down to, you might be thinking about entry points. It's it's a difficult one, to be honest with you. It's a difficult one. I wouldn't feel comfortable buying Bitcoin here. I wouldn't feel comfortable buying Bitcoin here or outside of the accumulation zone, which ended around here, 50,000. I wouldn't feel comfortable buying it around there. Doesn't mean it wouldn't work out. I just wouldn't feel comfortable doing it. So yeah, I mean, it's completely your call if that's what you're looking for, an entry point. But given the nature of this uptrend, similar to the one that we saw over here, yeah, it's very, 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 very bullish. Then you'll get a dump, and then it'll just get bought straight back up. But no one knows where the top is, and no one has a particular target. I'm sure with the days that follow, everyone's going to be saying silly things like starts off with 100,000, and then someone else says, $250,000, then someone else says 500,000, and then someone else will say $1 million, someone will say $2 million. And it's that sort of attitude that does create the bubble pop, because everybody's just like, oh, there's more to go, there's more to go, there's more to go. So hopefully that made sense. Hi CC, I appreciate the frequent updates on Twitter. Yeah, like I say, I'm trying to be trying to tweet a bit more, trying to build this this channel up a little bit now. Obviously, you've probably noticed if you watched my video today, I've got a sponsor, Pionex. So I resist all the sponsorships, but they came to me and said go on. So they made me an offer, and I thought go on then, because I use them anyway. Do you know what I mean? So I know I feel like a little bit of a sellout, but at the same time, I've been using Pionex for a year. I trust them, and they're okay. Do you know what I mean? It's not like a scammy place. You should see some of these other places of people that come to me for asking stuff. And actually, recently there's all these. There must be some kind of new scam. I suppose it's a scam. What happens when you're like a miniature influencer like me is you get contacted almost daily by people who own tokens, right? They want you to push it on your viewers, and usually, obviously, this is obviously not the case. Usually the way that they go about it is that I get a message from like a very attractive woman doing some Instagram style poses on their Telegram, and they'll say, "Hi, I've got a business proposition for you." Obviously, they don't sound like that, but obviously, when you look at the picture, that's basically the vibe you're getting. And then they try and shill some shitcoin for me to dump all over you guys. That's pretty much a daily event at the moment. So the scammers are out in force. They run with the market. So, but yeah, I turned down all the sponsors, but I thought I'll do this one because I know Pionex, I use it. So, right. So, hey CC. Looking into AI, looking to get into AI. Right, okay. Would you recommend waiting for BCC to pull back to see further downside, or do you think it would be too late? Well, the thing about AI, so we'll just bring the chart up right now. The thing about AI is that it's a bit of a gamble anyway. I mean, I always said this, and the only reason I brought it up on the channel is because I mentioned it on the Telegram and instantly regretted saying that I'd even bought it. There are a lot of coins that I buy, not a lot, but there's a handful of things that I buy that I don't tell anybody about because I don't want people to get the wrong impression. But I don't know what was wrong with me that day, and I did mention that I bought it, and I felt pretty bad for saying it, and I made a video basically as a bit of a disclaimer saying that this is a massive gamble, and it still remains a gamble, right? I know we've recently watched it pump high. I mean, there's no point in measuring it. I mean, it did a very good pump. You can see that. So it went pretty high, but since then it's been sold off again. There's every chance that it'll come back down to 2 cents, but I mean, so far it has had a decent reaction on the 10 exponential here, and as far as this chart's concerned, it's looking better. I do expect this chart to run. Just given the state of the Ichimoku cloud, it does look like it wants to run and probably will run. But we're waiting for this Chiku span here to come outside of this this big cloud. So whether we run up all the way here, which allows this to close above here, which would mean that would have to be above 5 cents, for that to happen, or we wait for what would look like about 3 weeks or so for this to come out of here. So 20 days, 3 weeks. For that to come out of there, and then we'll have another push up. But I mean, it's not a very liquid coin. This goes up, it goes down, and when you look at the state of the chart, it's an awful chart. So I mean, if you want to get into something like this, it is a matter of just, I suppose, biting the bullet. You could try and wait for a Bitcoin dump. I'm sure you'd get a lower price. Well, I'm not sure, but I would expect you would get a lower price. And if you could possibly get it between 2 and 2.2, which was my the majority of my buy-ins were around there, because this has been the main area of support. This is why I spoke about this in the first place. I was like, all right, this one moves, this could move, and this is a decent looking support. And oh god, I was wrecked. I mean, it's worked out okay. Some days worse than others, some days better than others, but it's a massive gamble, alright? It's a massive gamble. Now, you can't see it on this chart, and you can't see it on any chart that I can display on my computer, but on the KuCoins app, and only on the app, can you see the weekly MACD, and it's a huge divergence on there, and it's been a huge divergence, which is one of the only reasons why I didn't cut my losses here, because I was like, this massive divergence on the MACD, you can't, honestly, it doesn't show here, but it's a massive one that's gone positive now, which makes me think that this one will run and rally massively. It's but there's not much in it, this chart, really. There's not much in it. It's about, you've got as much to risk as you have to be rewarded by. So if you want to wait for a Bitcoin pullback, or a general just, demise of alts, and just see if you can get it closer to the 2 or the 2.2 cent zone thing, that's a better entry. Again, this one could easily not work out, so it's a massive gamble. Like I say, no one ever talks about AI, and it's my own foolishness for talking about it in the first place, which has sparked the interest in this. So I do hope that it works out for everybody that bought it on what appeared to be a recommendation, but I've learnt my lesson from that, and like I say, I'm confident that I'm reasonably confident that it will work out. But as for entry points, I mean, like I say, it's a gamble, so treat it as a gamble. It is a gamble. Right. Hi CC. Thumbs up as always. Cheers, mate. HBAR to BTC. Let's have a look at these. So I mean, just while I'm bringing it up, the thing about alts right now is that they could easily be at support, right? They could easily be at support. They could be at their bottoms, but with their dollar pairings, they definitely could, right? And with that example of Harmony One, this is a good example of showing both sides of it, how it can work out. So, oh no, Bitcoin's rallying and we're losing everything to the tune of 85%. So hang on a minute, and you wake up rich again. So it's not, like I say, I mean, things, it is what it is. So like I say, there is a chance that altcoins, and some altcoins especially, have already had their lows. Their lows are in. The market is different, which is why I brought up the similarities and the differences with the market cap going up 800% and unlikely to do that again. So there's similarities in how the dominance chart is going to behave and the reaction altcoins will have to it. But there's differences in how everything was able to run so dramatically throughout that period of January through to April, May. Right, so HBAR to BTC, so we've had a relatively decent reaction on the 10 exponential, sorry, the 200 exponential here, which is hopefully a bottom area. We're curling up, histogram's ticking up a little bit. Money flow index relatively bottomed here. Let's just check the weekly, see how we look on the weekly. So the weekly edging down, maybe you could even hope for a little lower. You might not get it. We've not really had. It's been front run the entire time from reaching that 50 exponential. So there is a chance that the bottom is in on this one versus Bitcoin. Otherwise, we could easily edge down to what, 523 sats. But from what I can see here, that's not a real cross. The cross was already in for that one. Let's just check on the daily. So I mean, it's not that bad. There is a chance that we curl up and move from here. This is our last line in the sand, and we've seen we can have a look at some other charts, but XRP is a good example of this being the last where we were like, well, it's the 200 exponential. Hopefully we get a good reaction from that, and then we didn't, and then we broke down to what was the next level of support, to which we look like we're breaking down from that again. So 200 exponential is the obvious place to try and pick anything up, but it's not the be all and end all. And if this were to break down, what is this? This does offer a relatively historical area of support here, and that is 486, right? So again, there are things below us. 486 there, and on the weekly there was the 50 exponential coming in at 523. So I can't say that it'll bounce from here versus Bitcoin. You would like to think it would, but technically this is more than a consolidation. It's a breakdown from this massive peak over here. I mean, that's what, 50%, isn't it, already, from where we are right now? So yeah, There's a chance we get a bit of a relief rally, and this is what I'm expecting to see, and why the haters will come out and criticise me for saying, putting all alts into one basket and saying, Bitcoin is the best thing since sliced bread. That's not what I'm saying, but do you know what I mean? There will be alt rallies, there will be relief rallies, but in the grand scheme of things, if you're looking to rotate into something, unless you're looking to catch a knife, you try and catch bottoms. Like this could be a bottom, or that would likely be a bottom, but you'll get a relief rally here. But in relation to what we're seeing here, essentially we've got a falling wedge, really, I suppose, to an extent, more of a descending triangle. And we're below all major moving averages but one, and we saw what happened with XRP when it broke down below there. It takes another tumble. I can't say, do you know what I mean? I know it's frustrating because you're looking for answers, but it is a knife catching event if you're looking to do that, and if it doesn't work out, then you have a further drop versus Bitcoin of not much, really. What, 20%? I know that's 20%, but it's not much, and then that would likely be a really good opportunity if you were to get that. It's up to you if you want to play that out or not. But yes, this is consolidation to a large extent, and probably accentuated as Bitcoin moves up and down and then back up. You know what I mean? Because it will take sats away from things. But yeah, I'm looking for a massive swing trade myself, whether or not I get it, but I would be looking for the larger swing trade around 52 and maybe hopefully 58. That'd be amazing, because we want to make the most out of a rotation. And I'm not bothered if I don't catch lows. I just want to increase the amount of Bitcoin that I own. Do you know what I mean? It's always tempting to try and get a low and catch the bottom, but we're edging towards the, we are moving towards the end of a bull market, you see. So I don't want to make mistakes at this stage. So yeah, I mean, it's okay. I would certainly wait for more obvious opportunities, but I'll keep it on your radar definitely as we approach that major level of support that's below the 200 exponential. ICC, thanks for all your great analysis and teaching. Well, thank you very much. Can we have a look at HNT to USDT? Right, yeah. So USDT pairs are definitely worth looking at, because it shows a, what am I writing here? Jeez, HNT. Because it shows them in their true lights, I suppose. So first of all, it's not a very old coin, but for what it's worth, it's basically been in an uptrend since forever. Looking to move on to a new all-time high relatively soon. By the looks of things, we are above all major moving averages, which is bullish. We're not particularly overextended on any of these. This looks good. Looks like it's running up, getting ready for a run-up, definitely. In fact, immediately, I would say. 4 hourly's looking pretty good as well. So yeah, we're breaking out of all our favourite little friends down here. Golden cross, avoided death cross, above all major moving averages again. And there's no point in looking at the weekly on something like this. But for what it's worth, it's above all major moving averages again. Looking to make a positive cross on the MACD also. So this looks like a fair old little treat, actually. It does look pretty good. And I suppose with young coins like this, they do have a habit of running quite dramatically. So I quite like it. It's good on all time frames, definitely. It's going to be subject to the market, obviously, but it does look quite good. It's a constant uptrend. OMI to USDT and OMI to BTC. I didn't even know there was a BTC pair. I know there's an Ethereum pair. It's such a low value coin that I don't think sats go that low. So right, so you're breaking down at the moment, but so this uptrend so far so good. The thing about this is that because it only really trades, to be honest, on Gate.io, it needs to be accepted in other places. So I'll say I'm happy with it anywhere above 5 cent, and I would probably be looking for this to get picked up at these moving averages. But if not, 5 cent again, very strong. It was a strong support here. I was looking for a larger dump down at some point. We seem to be getting it now, but we could easily get picked up at 5.8. But 5 cent would be amazing and a decent opportunity. But yeah, there's nothing on the chart right now that looks particularly good. You have to wait for this dump to ensue. And hopefully come down to those lower levels of support. So we might get held up on this here. This is a chance on the 4 hourly here, but it has a habit of going pretty dramatic with its ups and downs, and as Bitcoin is the more popular asset, and this is only really it's only really traded on this pair. I've looked at the Ethereum pair, and it basically doesn't trade. No one trades it. It's zero. Pretty much just does not move at all. No, there's no volume on it. Literally zero. Do you know what I mean? There's no money. No. So this is the only chart that counts, and this is the only volume that counts. So at the moment, yeah, if this portion breaks down here, I would expect about 5 cents. If this bit breaks down here, and then that might be just an accumulation period. I wouldn't expect it to get shooting straight back up from 5 cents, because it would be breaking its 4-hourly formation, probably go into an accumulation phase between 5 and maybe 5.8 cent really. And that's probably what I'd imagine. So I'd be looking for lower prices on this one if this area doesn't hold on this 200 exponential. It's pretty oversold at the moment, I would say, but that doesn't mean a great deal, because this is a shit coin at the end of the day, and I'm not saying that because it is, you know, it's not a Mickey Mouse company shit coin, but it's a low volume coin that's not traded much, which means that it's subject to, you know, horrendous dumps. But I'd be interested in picking more up at 5 cent. Yeah, but yeah, I'd be looking at lower prices if we break down from where we are at right this very moment in time. Right, what's up, CC? How many times have you seen this hysteria happen in your experience? Well, quite a few times, I suppose. I think that's another thing about. I mean, you will have been around in social media. You don't have to have a YouTube channel to see it yourself, but the people's attitudes usually start to tell you when to get out of stuff. So it was Ada, wasn't it? And I'm not saying that we need to get out of things now. It's just you've seen the memes, haven't you, that come out where someone, yeah, that'll be like a picture of I don't know, one door saying Bitcoin 30,000 and no one's going in it, and then it'll be like Bitcoin at 60,000. There's a queue. I mean, that's what that sums it all up, and that's how it is. Was it USDT you wanted me to look at? Oh, yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, the main hysteria I remember was 2017 at the peak of that bull run. Everyone was going. I wasn't really present on social media, but I just remember it, and I was swept up in it because I was basically ignorant, you know, completely ignorant to, you know, crypto in general. I was happy to allow it to see if it would go to 1 million when it reached 20,000. Do you know what I mean? I was happy just to see. No one really knew. But yeah, I've seen it a few times, and you know, it's all just noise, to be honest with you. The idea, and I always try and say it to all of you guys, you create a plan and you stick to the plan, and the best thing is to try and stay away from what everyone else says. You know, your plan might disagree with mine, but as long as you stick to it, you know, your rational self made that plan. That's the best plan to have, rather than, you know, changing it. You know, when you wake up one morning and one of your favourite YouTubers says it's going to go to 500,000, and then you change your entire plan because you think that that's possible. It's silly. You made your plan in a rational mind. You took time to develop that plan. You should stick to it. Hysteria is just silliness. Do you know what I mean? It's just silliness. Like I say, yeah, we've made a new all-time high. Big deal. Do you know what I mean? Big deal. Isn't it? Yeah. So yeah, I've seen it a handful of times, I suppose, less than that. And it just, if anything, it's just annoying, really. Right. So let's have a look. So Ada doesn't look particularly good, but it's not bad. It's definitely not bad. It's broken out of this consolidation. We're accumulating, which is basically why it's gone sideways here. The green 50 exponential is the $2.22. That's the area to break. Also, we're below the cloud. The cloud over here is red as well. It doesn't offer a great deal of opportunity, I'd say, until we're above the moving averages and the cloud. The 4-hourly is trying its best, but again, we're below the 200 exponential as well, which is no place to be. We need to break above all of these for us to entertain the idea of it going bullish. Until then, this is accumulation, right? I would say that the accumulation would be anywhere below this 200 exponential, which is about $2.23, and the bottom here, which is relatively strong support, I would say, which is just short of $2. So we're going to accumulate in this area until we break bullish. And then when we do finally break bullish, I don't know, I underestimate ADA all the time. I know I say that these coins that have already done, 100 or 200x should be, unless you're in at the bottom, should almost just be like, forgotten about really. But I don't know where it's going to go. You could easily double, triple, quadruple your money by the time the entire bull run is over. But for now, if you really want it, you accumulate between those zones here and here. Anywhere within here would be appropriate for when this finally breaks bullish. For the moment, it can't break bullish until the 4 hourly at least reclaims the 200 exponential. And again, given the way that the market looks right now, it could happen. But all eyes are on Bitcoin, I think, until an appropriate area on the dominance chart is approaching. And I would probably say when Bitcoin's money flow index is getting overheated on a weekly. This is something actually I should just mention real quick. It scares me when I see these sort of sharp increases like this of money flow index, because this is what it looked like 2017 into 18, very sharp, massive, all the way to the top, pop. This is what it looked like 2019 when the bull market started, very sharp, very quick, massive gains, all the way up, pop. This was a lot more neat and tasty, and then technically a pop, and then a continuation that doesn't show. And now we're going straight up, all the way up to the top. So if we start getting up here, 94, 95, or probably even earlier, I'll probably start warning people around 93, which again is fast approaching. Then I would say, let's just be very careful. We'll have a look at how the Bitcoin dominance looks at the time, but that is the ultimate bubble pop warning there. I would say doesn't mean you catch the top, it just means let's just be very careful about how we navigate through the minefield of crypto at that point. So I just thought I'd put that out there anyway. So yeah, ADA, like I say, accumulating at between those levels and until alts get their time in the sun. Hi CC, and Steve, how you doing? Hi CC, I understand Solana is a young chart, but let's see how it looks. So Solana is one of those ones, isn't it, that just seems to be super bullish anyway, and almost defies the TA. So we'll have a look versus Tether. Get rid of some of this noise. So, I mean, yeah, it's a young chart, but for what it's worth, it's super turbo bullish. I mean, look at that. It's pretty epic. Depends on your entry point, obviously, but as far as I'm concerned, this is one of the better charts anyway. I know it's young, but there's nothing to complain about when we look at something like this. There's really nothing to complain about. The consolidation ended straight out, accumulation above all major moving averages, bullish, about to probably turn up bullish as well by the looks of things. So this one might just trend and outperform Bitcoin as Bitcoin goes up because it's very popular. Everybody wants a piece of it. Trades in massive volume. All I ever hear is good things about it. Do we have any good signals on this? So that cross took place. It doesn't really count, that one there, but I mean it's still an epic looking chart. So we've got negative cross here, positive cross here. So we've got ourselves a signal for it. I think that's probably what's driving this last push up. Let's just have a look on the 12-hourly chart. Any particular things of interest here? Yeah, I suppose as well. So yeah, this looks bullish in the short term and on the long term. So I'm looking at the conversion baseline crosses. So above the cloud, cheeky span above price action, and above the cloud, and the portion over here which is green, which means that we're likely to get a big push up as well. So I think we're getting that now, based on the 4-hourly and the 12-hourly, and we're above all major moving averages on daily, 4-hourly, weekly, the lot. So I'd be bullish for this one to continue. Whoops, don't need the monthly, but. This is one of them coins that you'd want to keep towards, for the entire cycle, definitely. But I wouldn't be getting complacent as we get closer to the end of the cycle. But yeah, there's nothing toppy about this. If anything, we're the weekly candle here. We are at basically looking to break this high here. So at major resistance 173. 174. Once we close a weekly candle above there, we will then go on to make another epic run. And we look at the state of this chart really on the weekly. It's pretty awesome. And we've got a 7 simple tagged closure, closure. We had a little breakdown and a closure here, so it's very, very, very bullish, and we're at a weekly resistance with no signs of major weakness or anything like that. So yeah, I'm looking for this one to continue out. If you were in this, which I know you are, I know you're in this, I would hold it for the rest of the cycle, and it was probably going to be the best thing you ever had, depending on where you bought it. Anyway, there's nothing about it that which would deter me, even though it's a young chart, still very, very bullish, and like highly traded. Right, EOS. Yes, I believe EOS and Glenn from London Stock Exchange. Yeah, we're looking to move into stocks, aren't we? So we're very happy to look at stocks. I've been meaning to look at more, just been too busy these days. So EOS, right? Let's have a look at EOS. We're not going to look at. Well, shall we? We'll bring this up. It's just making new lows, I think, at the moment. Bloody EOS. But I'll tell you what, though. This is pretty interesting, because look, this is the price action right now, and you want to hope that we do bounce from here. This is its inception price from down here, so you better hope that we do bounce from here. When I say I as well, because I do hold an inordinate amount of EOS as well. So yeah, you'd like to think that this is the low. So we've got the bottom of the Bollinger Band, more or less. I know that we're kind of closing it here, but my drawing tools, I always like to have them very fat. But so yeah, hopefully we are at that support. I mean, we're not really, are we? But we kind of are. But in relation to this chart here, EOS to BTC, it's horrible, downtrending all the way. We're oversold, I would say, on these, and we are slowly, maybe ticking up a little bit here. We've got nothing good to say about it though. So we got on the 4-hourly, we do have kind of have it bullish divergence on the RSI, so maybe we do catch the low. Maybe this is EOS's turning point. Maybe this is EOS's absolute low versus Bitcoin. Maybe it does actually do something. We've got bullish divergence on the 4-hourly, so there's always that chance. So we'll get off Bitcoin's pairing, because I mean, like I say, that is hopium talking, based around a very small term time frame of the chart. Sorry, a brain fog there. So right, again on the 4-hourly here, we do have a bit of hopium form. We're above the 200 exponential, which is nice. We get a green portion of the cloud here, which is also quite nice. We have a cross as well, confirmed here from 8 hours ago, less than that. Yeah, just short of 8 hours ago, which means that actually, if we close this candle body at this price, it's 470 or higher, we do have a signal for another drive up. So so that does look good. And me knowing the EOS like the back of my hand, I know all my drawing tools have gone, because Hypertrader doesn't like me doing an update on Windows, and it gets rid of everything. But we're talking these levels here, so it's $5.20, I believe. Is it $5.20 here? Kind of, more or less. I know roughly that's what it is, just from knowing EOS a lot. And then the next level of major resistance is about $7.20 or something along those lines. So I can't get bullish on it until it reclaims these levels. But you know, the way it's looking right now could actually do that. So we've got a major support, hopefully ultimate low, basically on Bitcoin's pair. We've got a small term time frame hopium drive up on the 4-hourly, which should keep us hopefully above the 200 exponential on the daily. So if you marry all these things together, it doesn't look as bad as it might seem. So maybe there is a bottom here on EOS, but again, EOS is painful chart to trade. You know, since it broke down here, it was a great chart to trade here because there was setups. Right now, what we're doing is we're scraping the bottom of the barrel for anything bullish on it, which there is small term time frame bullish things on it, and maybe the chance that you're catching the absolute bottom of it, you know, the absolute low. I know the bullish exchange is due to release at some point soon. Maybe that'll have an effect. Probably will have some kind of effect. but just through association. But the chart at the moment, you could be hoping to buy the low here. This could be the opportunity to buy the low, but it could also be the opportunity to sit in a position that doesn't move while everything else moves around you, which is what EOS generally likes to do anyway. But you and me together, Lewis, we're in it together. We will make those EOS gains, but like I say, I mean, it's a hard one to call. I can't get bullish on until it's above $5.20 or $5.40, but I'm sure it'll work out. But right now, we are literally scraping the bottom of the barrel for some kind of hopium event, and there is a small something to go by. So what we're going to have a look at Glenn then, shall we? So we'll get rid of the Dixie. We don't need you anymore. Right, is this what we're looking at? Right, okay, fair play. Weekly looks pretty awesome. This goes back quite a long way, which is nice. So yeah, weekly golden cross back down here. Since then, obviously we've had a nice rally. Golden crossed here. Can measure it into the retest of there. So there's a 25% up since the cross on a weekly as well. So that's pretty good. So the bearish divergence has been cancelled now, so that's alright on the weekly as well, so nothing particularly to worry about here. Yeah, I mean, this is just a very slow and steady uptrend, so I'm okay with this in every way. When did we get the conversion baseline cross? So we got a new one around here, a bit contrived though because of this weird wick, but it's an uptrend. I don't see any weakening of the uptrend. It's continuing to uptrend. So I'll be looking at the way that this behaves, which is you get nice moves up and you big moves down to the green 50, up, big moves down to the green 50, up below the 50, below the 50, below the 50, below the 50. So yeah, we're up now. I would be waiting for the next bigger, larger pullback on this one. Hopefully buying it anywhere around the 50, which, you know, at today's value is 345. But yeah, it's a steady, strong uptrend, which should hopefully give you a decent opportunity to buy in at a decent level, and then just continue to ride this one up. Daily strong, weekly strong, it's all strong, but a better opportunity is likely to come, maybe relatively soon. It looks like it's reached a peak on this uptrend and it's coming back down again, and then you can pick it up. But again, I don't know what it does, and that's often a major part of trading stocks. Less so with crypto. I know with crypto there's this, but I love the project, and it's like, well, yeah, but actually with stocks, I suppose fundamental analysis is something that you should definitely do on top of the chart. With crypto, not necessarily. No. When people talk, it's like when I call things a shitcoin, and then I get attacked, even though I'm saying this shitcoin's looking really good. I'm expecting a 10x from it. It's a very bullish statement I'm saying there. No one should attack me for that, but no, it's not a shitcoin. Look at the project. I don't have time for that. Look at the chart, thanks. I go out of my way sometimes to call them shitcoins just to attract some comments, which hopefully adds to the algorithm. I don't know if YouTube recognizes that comment is slagging me off. Right, also, can you tell us which app platform you use and any thoughts about it? Well, I mean, this thing that I'm using here is called HyperTrader. I to be honest with you, I don't link all my things to it, even though that's what it's designed for, because I don't make it that many trades, surprisingly. And my margin trading, if you get a pen and paper ready, these are all the things I use. So these are all the different exchanges I use. Primarily for spot trading, I use Binance, then KuCoin and Gate.io. They're the spot trading things that I do. That's where the vast majority of it takes place. 99% of all my spot trading takes place in Binance, number 1, KuCoin, number 2, and Gate.io, number 3. And futures trading, I use Bybit, rarely, but sometimes, for coin futures style margin trades, but again, very rarely. The majority of my futures trades is done on Bityard, which again I don't trade very often with futures, but when I do, I would use Bityard. And it's not because it's a superior exchange. It's just very easy and simple, and everything's very easy and quick and fast and simple. I've already got my stop loss parameters all set in there. So if I press long or I press short, everything's all set up ready to go, and my stop loss is 10% of where I've entered the trade. So I mean, that's why I use it. It's simple, it's easy, and it works. And look, Binance is amazing, but Binance is best, definitely for me. It's definitely best for spot trading, and I've never really liked the futures component to Binance. It just seems a bit too much. So it needs to be simple. That's why Bybit is really good. Very simple, bang, done. And Bityard as well, bang, done. And then obviously I use Bitsgap for trading bots. That's where most of my trading bots have been, because you can you can attach APIs to all those exchanges that I've spoken about, all of them. So you can Binance, Gate.io, KuCoin. You can link your trading bots to those platforms, so that's what makes it better. But then I do use Pinex because they've got other bots which make which work in a different way, but it's all on Pinex. But then Pinex is primarily Binance's broker, so if they're the coins that you want to trade, you don't have a problem with liquidity. It's equal to Binance, so it's fine. And I suppose, I don't know why I never really thought about it, but when people were looking to get out of Binance and they were moving on to all these other exchanges, like KuCoin and Gate.io, Pinex is actually one of the better ones you could have thought of going to, really, because it's got higher volume than KuCoin and Gate.io by miles, and that's usually the only issue that you get when you're looking to trade outside of Binance. You're looking for liquidity. You need liquidity. You need to be able to, if you're wanting to trade spot and you want to trade like, I don't know, PundiX, you look at PundiX trading on KuCoin and you look at PundiX trading on Binance, you're going to want to do it on Binance because it's 10 times higher than on KuCoin. So again, but again, they're the only reasons. That's all I use, which is obviously sounds like quite a lot. There are other exchanges I use, but there's no point in talking about them. I use those ones all the time. Right, where were we? Right, so link to BTC. Congrats, man. Today you were vaccinated against the haters. Well, I don't know about that. There'll always be haters. Link to BTC. Let's have a peep at that. Ooh, it's not looking very happy. That's a daily. Let's check the weekly, because we did have a trend line on this one, didn't we? Let's see how this one's more or less working out. So it's broken down to a decent extent there. So we'll be looking for this one to maybe edge towards the 200 exponential on the weekly. Very strong looking support there, but it doesn't look very good on the weekly, I have to say. Daily, nothing really on the daily of any significance. This is versus, obviously we're talking about Bitcoin really, so not really big fan of the way that looks on the daily. And 4 hourly looks like it could turn up. We have bullish divergence again on the 4 hourly here. So we've got small term time frame hopium going on for some of these altcoins. So we might be looking at some relief, which then could pick up pace. This is why I say when we're looking at the Bitcoin dominance chart, I always underestimate how altcoins can perform, because most people just want altcoins, don't they? They don't think about Bitcoin. Everybody wants altcoins, and that's what will push them and drive them and knock the dominance chart down and then make that into a bearish move. So and these are the sort of things that you could look for at the very first start of this. So yeah, bullish divergence on the 4 hourly, that could move on to other time frames, but it's not a bullish chart. We'll again, just like whatever we looked at previously, where we're scraping the bottom of the barrel. It was EOS, wasn't it? And we're going, all right, 4 hourly has an opportunity to push up. But again, there's a lot of resistances above us on here to break out from before we actually break bullish. Again, if you want to catch lows, that's fine. Look at the Bitcoin dominance chart now. It's going down little piece by piece, isn't it? It's being knocked down. Go to a 15-minute chart. So yeah, it's going down bit by bit by bit by bit. There is a chance that we do get a decent alt rally out of this over the next 24 hours, 48 hours, maybe the rest of the year. this is what I mean. I'm the boy that cried Bitcoin dominant support, you know, and I underestimate altcoins all the time because in my experience, over the grand scheme of things, the altcoins usually end up getting completely wrecked in the end. So I'll still stick to my strategy, but there is a small bit, a little voice in the back of my head saying, buy the lows, but I'm not going to do it. But there is a small part of me that says buy the lows now, because these could be the lows. But I don't want to part with my Bitcoin yet. If I'm going to part with Bitcoin, I'm going to do it in confirmed uptrends. Does that make sense? I don't want to take a risk, an unnecessary risk on trying to catch an absolute low. If all I'm looking to do is increase my Bitcoin amount. Remember in May I was talking about, let's think about how much Bitcoin we own. Bitcoin is our balance, not how much Bitcoin is worth. The amount of Bitcoins that we own, that's our balance. I still view my balance in that way. I don't look at how much Bitcoin is worth necessarily. I look at how much Bitcoin I've got. So if I'm looking to make a trade with my Bitcoin into an altcoin, I don't really at this stage, right this very moment in time, want to try and catch a low or a bottom. I would rather go into a confirmed uptrend. That means that it's very likely that I will increase my Bitcoin amount, because remember, Bitcoin is my balance, not how much it's worth. So yeah, there is a small portion in the back of my head saying buy Link, buy EOS with my Bitcoin, but I think the larger portion of my brain says don't, because it goes against what you promised yourself you wouldn't do. But it's, look, it's very tempting. Look at Ethereum versus Bitcoin here. I mean, you're coming down to the 200 exponential. It's make or break, isn't it? It's the same with a lot of these things, and that's why I showed you XRP as an example of what could happen if it breaks. Doesn't mean that XRP's lost technically dollars, but it means that, if you're going to be spending your Bitcoin or like giving your Bitcoin away into a chart like this, you are trying to catch a knife. It's not a bullish chart. It's choppy as anything, really. But again, there is a small portion of my head that says buy the lows. But it's not convincing enough for me to buy the lows on this. So the daily is clearly, looking like it wants to drop off. That's how I choose to interpret it, given the way that I expect the way I expect the market to behave. Doesn't mean that Ethereum isn't going to do very well and your money will be worth it, but I just think that there's a little further to go before we bounce. We've got golden cross over here on the weekly. That's very bullish, but this doesn't look bullish. We're diverging quite dramatically here on the MACD, and I'm not convinced on it. It doesn't mean that your Ethereum isn't going to make money. It just means that it's too much to risk at this very moment in time. Keep your eyes on a daily. If we break down from here, we have to think about previous levels of support, which would be down here at roughly these lows. So we're talking 50, what is that, 56,000, 57,000, which again isn't an enormous drop from where we're at right now. It's not that bad, 8%. Like I say, my plan is my plan. If you want to try and catch lows, we could have just dipped our toes below the 200 exponential, and this could be where this could be the low. This could be the low, but for me, it's not convincing enough, because even though the dominance chart has come up to that level, the 200 exponential on the daily, which could be easily a breakdown point, just for a decent alt rally, if anything, or it could be the top. Again, it's too much of a gamble for me, even though there is a portion that says this could be it. This could be it. I don't think it is it though. So, but we are looking at micro rotations within the grand scheme of things. But I am not going to do that. I would be looking for lower lows to form on these Bitcoin pairs over the coming weeks, right? Over the coming weeks, and if they start to break out, then that's different, and then we can trade the uptrends. Remember, catching knives and maybe making guesses on lows is one thing. If I'm looking to increase my Bitcoin balance, because Bitcoin is my, that's my balance, then I will want to do it in an uptrend. So I'm happy to wait for the bottoms to form and the uptrends to begin, because that way it's an easier trade to make. Okay, I took a break from crypto for 2 months. What did I miss? Not much, not too much. Don't worry about it. some of my Qcoin picks are having a great day. Can we have a look at yep, and yeah? Let's have a look. Yeah, Qcoin is definitely like pretty epic these days. I never really traded on it, to be honest. I was always very much into. I was always the very much a Binance person, and I still am. I mean, if I put it on a ratio, I'd probably say there's it's still 80% of my portfolio, spot trading wise, is in Binance, and then the rest is I've got 10% either way on Qcoin and Gate.io for these sort of opportunities, because you get this, but again, they don't trade massively. So it's not a very old coin, is it? We're looking at a daily here, so yeah, we're 18% up. This is great. I'm gonna have to bring it down to lower time frames really, because the daily's good position. So right, okay, let's just so golden crossed above all major moving averages on the 4 hourly, so that's fine. Can go higher. That's pretty high. It's still not a big deal because again, it's Qcoin at the end of the day. 20 million though is a lot. Whoa, what's happened to that? Glitch central there. Come on. Alright, there we go. Right, so in something like this, we've got to think about historical highs and lows. So we launched here, which looked to be like where we found a lot of tops before. So that's a nice place to break out from. We did that before the demise, but this was May, so it's not really fair. So I think it would be reasonable to assume that, given the fact that we're not massively overextended here or here on the daily, that this could push up definitely higher. And we've got areas here. There's more of a boxy zone really, which is probably more appropriate to draw that in. And yeah, there we go. So we pretty much nailed it there from that previous high. So the first stab into the box, I think with this being the way that it looks, it will probably make its way to the top of the box and maybe beyond. But on the first pass, it was a rejection from there. And it's obvious why, because we can see here and here and here we got the rejections. So again, this is it's so easy in a way to find your supports and resistances, especially on charts like this, because there's nothing much to go by. So you look at significant areas and you find yourself a chart exit points really. But I like it, to be honest. It's broken out of major resistance, and it's going into its next phase. So long as we don't go down below $10.40 or $10 flat, probably we could call it. As long as we don't go below there again, we're all right. We're okay. So we've got a cross below the cloud here. GQ span was already above there, so this one's probably already I think this one will continue. Surprisingly, I know that sounds mad because it's up massively already. I mean, what, 31% now? I know it sounds mad, but I think it probably will continue. But again, it'll dump as well. But every day that we're above $10.40, I'd say between $10 and $10.40, it could continue. It's Qcoin at the end of the day. HTR. Let's have a look at that. It's mad, isn't it, when you say that? We are 31% up, and we could easily. It's obviously been more than that. And I was thinking, it continue even more. That's crypto. Normally, if anything ever in real life, and if anything ever moved up like that, you'd think, right, okay. In traditional markets, you'd think about taking profit around those levels. You know what I mean? But not with old crypto. There's always more to go. Okay, so Bitcoin's having a little bit of a pullback. That's nice to see. It's what we want. We don't want massive moves. And this little pullback now, for what it's worth, could be all it needs for alts to get the upper hand on their Satoshi pairings. Now that people are a bit more confident in the market, so there could be a miniature alt rally. Not an alt season, a miniature alt rally, but alt rallies can move into alt seasons. So I think alts might catch a little bit of a bounce from here. So yeah, especially with those those other examples, Link and EOS, and I bet there's probably a lot more where we've got those 4 hourly bullish divergences playing out. So I think alts might actually do well tomorrow, over the next 24 hours. Right, so let's have a look at this thing then. What we're looking at. So we are creeping up towards the 0 point. You would imagine that when the MACD breaks outside of the 0 point, we start to push up a bit more dramatically. We're below all major moving averages until just today. We've not closed this candle body yet. If we close it above the 200 exponential, that's a good sign. Again, it's only a daily. Let's go to a 4 hourly. What do we see here? So we're forming what looks like could be a golden cross. This reminds me a little bit of the way that Uno looked at the time before it started to do its big rallies up. So golden cross coming. Incoming, wait till that forms, and I would be looking for this one to push up again as well in dramatic Qcoin style. So might not happen today, tomorrow, or next week, but 4 hour looks like it's going to form that cross over the next few days. And if we close our candle bodies continuously on the daily above this 200 exponential, then yeah, I'd be looking for this one to move up. And yeah, probably take out this previous high, $1. Well, first of all, I suppose we've got this area 96, 97, where we've got those tops and these areas over here. You can see slice right through the price action here. Top, breakout, support, breakdown, top, support, breakdown. So yeah, this would be the major area, and then breaking above there, then that's where your major uptrend should begin. And I like it. I do like it. So leave it to form. If you're already in it, you might have some pullbacks before this works out. But I think that's how I would interpret it, and I'd be looking at it to work out quite well. It would be like an Uno style. You know what we saw with Uno. We've been sort of casually following at that, and that did that kind of behaviour just recently. So massive big move up. 2CRZ. But remember, when I talk about these Qcoin charts, you should also be... Jesus Christ. Right. So you should also, when we're looking at these sort of charts, we should also recognise that they are, like more than volatile, up and down. So when migrating to Qcoin, right, and exploring these types of coins, yeah, you can be rewarded significantly, like we are here with this. 150% up today. Just today, casually, in standard Qcoin style, we've just pumped. What do we do from here? I don't know. This isn't normal. It's not normal behaviour. So what do we do from here? I don't know. But what did we do last time? Well, we came down, didn't we? I mean, to be honest, this is a consolidation, isn't it, really? So what was that move? A 500% move in 2 days? No big deal. It's no big deal. But yeah, a fair old consolidation. So we're doing that now. Does this continue? I don't know. Does it break down? I don't know. I don't know. You can't really read a chart like this, I'm afraid. It's not really readable. I suppose if we would have looked at this prior to this, we probably would have said, all right, consolidation probably ended around here. We're in accumulation. But could we have anticipated that? Nah. And if we did get that, what would I say? You know what I'd say? I'd say I would be looking to sell it, to be honest with you. Money flow index is overheated at this stage, too hot for me. I'd be getting out of that right now. But again, you wake up tomorrow and it's done another 500% or something. It makes no sense. It does what it wants. TA doesn't really apply to an extent. I mean, it would have applied to say that, yeah, we'll probably be looking to accumulate around these levels. But it wouldn't be saying... we're looking to make 150% move tomorrow. It just wouldn't, that doesn't, there's no way to say that. But if we do 150% tomorrow, I'd probably look to sell it. Doesn't mean it's the top though. So yeah, if these are yours, I mean, you'd be loving it. And to be honest, given the market the way it is and the fact that you've probably bought this extremely low, you'd be loving it. Hey Gemma, could we go over HBAR and XRP? So we've looked at HBAR, we'll have a look at XRP in relation to the whole BTC dominant situation. Right, so, I mean, we've gone over the dominant situation, I suppose, as well. We'll have a look at XRP, because I've got it on the chart here. So we've looked at the XRP versus Bitcoin, and it looks awful. Looks awful. But we are heading down to what would be a potential bottom. So we'll just show it you now anyway, just for a laugh. So yeah, this could be again the bottom, and this is this again is that little whisper in the back of my head saying, buy it, buy the low, I mean, I've already got enough XRP, but I mean, this would be a potential opportunity. But it's a terrible looking chart, death cross, and below all major moving averages, terrible. It's awful looking chart versus Bitcoin. But with the tether pairing, it's better. 200 exponential is where we like to revisit. We said hello over here. And we've been in a slow and steady uptrend ever since. I took, like I say, I don't do leverage positions very often, but when this happened and we dropped down here, I did take two leverage positions which are still open right now. The stop losses are at break even, and I'm hoping to ride this up, for hopefully massive. Well, I'm saying massive gains. One's a 3x and one's a 5x because I'm a high roller, obviously, but. That's sarcasm, by the way. But if you use leverage, I mean, you choose your own leverage. But I think people, unless you're doing day trading, you'd have to be mad to use 10 or more. Unless you're day trading, you're in and out. You'd never go to bed on a 10x leverage. You couldn't sleep. Well, I couldn't sleep anyway. Anyway, there's enough talking about that. So it was a nice reaction to the 200 moving average here, and seemed relatively oversold for what it's worth. I know XRP very well, and I know that it likes these levels, and I reckon the market cycle is due to complete like it did in the previous 4 year cycle of its own. It has its own cycle that's definitely tied into the market, and I think it's ready to do another big move at some point soon. Any moment it could do another big move. We're looking at the weekly here is also a decent place to have caught that bounce here, right down here at the bottom of the green cloud, and also the 10 exponential is there. The 7 simple was also there. It was an obvious place to try and get clever. So $1.06, between $1.05 and $1.06 is a very strong support recently historically, and on moving averages as well. So yeah, I'm alright with it, to be honest, and I would be looking for it to begin a pump at some point soon. When we're thinking about it outperforming Bitcoin, I mean, I think it will outperform Bitcoin in the end, but you know how XRP runs. It does it in very small but aggressive periods. A couple of weeks here, big move up, a couple of weeks here, big move up, 3 weeks, well, really just 1 week. We had 4 weeks technically, but a very big move up in 1 week. This is how it works, so you can't get too greedy on it. When it does run, it'll do 100 or 200 or more % move, and you just have to say, right, okay, that's it, okay, it's done, let's get out. When spotting tops, it's near impossible to spot them, right? You just have to be grateful for what you get, and for me, XRP was bought, mostly in its teens and lower 20s, so I just leave it to run, and I'm pretty confident it will reach a new all-time high. But yeah, I mean, the chart formation so far, it's okay. I'm all right with it, and I think it will work out. But with a Bitcoin dominant situation, I've already spoken about it, so I don't want to bore everybody else, to death about it. But yeah, alts can continue to go up as the Bitcoin dominance goes up as well. It just means that their sats will be taken generally, but their dollars might not necessarily go down. But Bitcoin is the better place to be, for better for worse. Right, I said I was going to open this to the public, so I'll tell you what, I'll do it now for the last few minutes. Where is it? Unlisted. We'll open it to the masses just for the last little piece. So everybody like it. Mind you, there's only 12 watching, so I imagine most of you have. There's 2 people who aren't too impressed with everything, but if you haven't liked the video, make me look a little bit popular, and we'll see who comes in. Right, so where were we? Yeah, so like I say, I'm expecting XRP to work out long run anyway. Short term, it'll trend with the market ever so slightly, and so long as the tether pairing is above $1.05 and $6. Then everything's good to continue. I would say everything's definitely good to continue. Right, took significant profits from alts to USDT, and want to get back into alts. Wondering if alts will correct down with BTC initially and increase, or will it be the inverse? BTC dumps, alts take off right away. Right, so I'll tell you how we used to trade this in the last alt season. So If any of you were around when we were trading the the alt season from January onwards, I had this phrase which was use Bitcoin as your indicator, because Bitcoin, despite it being an alt season, to which we're not in an alt season at the moment, there is a chance we get a rally, but use Bitcoin as your indicator, which what I mean is if Bitcoin looks like it's going to take a leg down, then you take some profits and prepare for your next entry point based on Bitcoin's pullback, and you go into alts, and that's if Bitcoin dominance is breaking down. Until that starts to happen, I suppose all you're looking to do is maybe catch a significant low, and I wouldn't really advise trying to do that unless, of course, you really do feel like certain alts have hit significant lows. And if we look at the way that things worked out in the past, when Bitcoin dominance broke out massively and alts got wrecked, specifically with their sats, but some of them with their dollars. If we look at like how it ended up in the long run, it worked out just fine regardless of where you bought these alts. But it doesn't feel particularly good at the time because altcoins aren't rallying against Bitcoin. Bitcoin generally outperforms them. And at the moment we are looking at, if we think about what we are looking at here, we are looking at an uptrend that could probably continue. And I'm not willing to try and catch lows on altcoins here, just in case this uptrend continues up. The higher the Bitcoin dominance goes, the worse effect it'll have on alts. And so I just don't really want to take that risk, even though you can make these micro rotations at these levels. I mean, this is a up, down, up, down, up, down trend, but it's still an uptrend. So you could use Bitcoin as your indicator, and what I mean by that is that when Bitcoin pulls back, if you want to get into your alts, then you get into your alts, but you need to know what alt it is that you want to get into, and you have to look at your supports of those alts, not just with Tether but with the Bitcoin pair too. And if it comes down to an area that you've previously mapped out on your chart and you're happy with that, then you go for it. But Bitcoin will be your indicator. So Bitcoin, when it dumps, it brings the market with it, and then if the alts are strong, and if they've hit significant targets that you've planned out for yourself, then you'll get a much better reaction from buying that alt than you would do from buying a Bitcoin dump. But at the moment, I'm not convinced enough to try and play that game. That game was very well. It was easy to play that game in a descending Bitcoin dominance. In an uptrend of Bitcoin dominance, it would be too much of a gamble for me to do that. But if we start downtrending with Bitcoin dominance, that's exactly how you'd play it. Bitcoin would still be your indicator. When Bitcoin dumps, the market dumps, you pick up your altcoin of choice and continue up, massively. But right now, it's too undecided for me to talk about that strategy, I suppose. Not yet, but that would be the way to do it when alt season comes around. Can you check banned protocols USDT? Yeah, let's have a look at that. Right, so weekly is kind of flat as a pancake. So basically, with all movement averages merging into one area, it's kind of it doesn't really give. It's not giving anything away. Okay, so we're pushing the resistance, the 200 exponential. That's fine. So you'd want to get above $9.15, we'll call it. Anywhere above there would be a chance for it to continue with an uptrend. It's slow and basically very much accumulation, really. Bollinger Bands are pinching here, so right, so it's just caught up with the the chart just caught up. So we are above the 200 exponential at the moment. Okay, so there is a small chance that we do break out from here. Not immediately, but yeah, maybe this is potentially the lows with USDT or thereabouts. So yeah, we're looking for volatility to enter this because the Bollinger Bands are pinching quite tightly. We've got a conversion baseline cross below the cloud, so what we'd be looking for now is Chiku span and price to close above the cloud as well, and we need this portion to go green, so that's not really useful actually. We go to a 4-hourly. We'll just make sure that these moving averages are in the correct place. So we do have a golden cross here. So actually it looks better on the 4-hourly as well. So the 4-hourly looks quite good. So maybe that is potentially the lows for band. And the uptrend hasn't started yet. So accumulation looks very obvious on a daily and a weekly. The 4-hourly is showing some kind of attempt to go into an uptrend. So yeah, I'll be looking at this as a potential uptrend in the making. And potentially buying in at the lows, but where's it going to go? I don't know. But yeah, would you rather buy band here, or would you, or are you in Bitcoin? It's up to you what you want to do. I'm not your financial advisor, but yeah, it looks like it's accumulation, and that's might be coming to an end shortly. Right. Isn't this nasty effect going to be the most pronounced on low caps, or do you think that such blood could come to top caps? So look, I'm not. If you were at the very beginning of this stream, when I was talking about how the market's different to the last time that this kind of effect happened from Bitcoin dominance increasing, it was more dramatic last time because the Bitcoin dominance was higher. By the time it reached its peak, it was like 73% dominant, which meant that there was not much money in altcoins at the time. And so they went down massively, not just with sats but with dollars. At the moment, there's more money involved with alts than there's ever been before. In fact, there's more money in alts now than there was in the entire market last time we had this kind of similar pattern form. So it's a different market. So you for me to say it's going to work just like last time, it's not. It won't, because the market is very different. That's why I gave you that overview of how the market and the market caps looked this time last year when we had the same kind of vibe going on. So it is a completely different market with way more money involved in it than last time, and altcoins are way stronger than they were last time. So I don't expect the same dramatic effects that took place this time last year when we had the dominance rise. So yeah, I would expect low caps to feel the pain, but it's one of my catchphrases, isn't it, when I always say like no altcoin is created equal, and so we can look at individual charts and we can take them on face value. If they look good, then they probably are good. If Bitcoin dominance continues to go up, it doesn't mean that any altcoin has to go down. It doesn't mean that at all. I mean, they move on their own. Altcoins are strong now, stronger than they've ever been, and people want to trade altcoins. People like altcoins more than Bitcoin, so it's a different market. It took the Bitcoin breakout this time last year to encourage people into the market. Like I say, before Bitcoin broke out and had this incredible rise in total market cap of the crypto currency market cap in general, that it was trading at what did we mark it out as? It was about 300 billion at the time, and by the peak it had gone up 800% in its market cap alone. So we can't expect alts to get completely wrecked and destroyed, but a similar kind of vibe is going to happen, but not to the same extent. But yeah, low caps generally I'd expect feel the worst pain, but they'd also be the ones that benefit probably the greatest when the rotation kicks in the opposite way. So like I say, we'll have to wait and see how it goes, but my position has been clear throughout the for months now about what my strategy is, and it's not because I expect Bitcoin to outperform alts or anything like that in general. It just means that it's a safer place to be, for better for worse. So for the moment anyway, and then make the most of the rotation. About the Jammer tokens, do we have to ask you for it every 3 months? I hope I don't sound greedy or something, but I was asking you about it just running. Yeah, I mean, the Jammer token is not exactly. It's not possible for me to automate this. So yeah, just let me know on Patreon. I keep a log on the messages. So if you message me saying, I'm due some more Jammer tokens, just let me know in the Patreon channel, and I'll send them over to your wallet. Yeah, that's no problem. But yeah, it's not an automated event, unfortunately. It is something that I have to send over to you. So yeah, just let me know on Patreon. That goes through all of you. If you've been subscribed for 3 months, you get your Jammer tokens, no problem. And but you have to message me directly on Patreon, and I'll get them sent over. Right. FET and Bepro just started with Bepro Bot today around 10 cents. Could that have been a good move? I think it's only trading at 1 cent at the moment, but let's have a look. So Bepro and FET. So we'll have a look at Bepro first, shall we? It's been a bit stagnant. We don't want the Gate.io one, we want the Qcoin one. I'll just clear up some of this mess. Alright, so it's looking a little bit. That's a 12-hourly chart with a golden cross formed, so that's nice to see. We never got the death cross from what I can see here already, so this is good, and we're trending up on the centre of this Bollinger Band as well, so it's the obvious place for it to bounce. Green portion of the cloud here, which means that all we need to do is break above this this area over here and stay above here with our Chiku span probably above here. So we need to get above 13 cent for another large push up to create a new sort of local high. But I think this is one of those shit coins again. You know, it is a shit coin at the end of the day. And I don't want to offend anybody that's just tuned in. I call it a shit coin because nothing should do these. You know, it's because it carries enormous risk is why it's a shit coin. It's not because it's not going to change the world and whatever it was that it wants to do. It's just a very risky thing to be in. But yeah, it looks quite good for the moment. Never got the death cross. Pulled our socks up at the last minute, and we're being supported on major moving averages. So I'll be looking for this one to do a push up within a few weeks. Yeah, the weekly is also in a good position for its moving averages. And let's just check the 4 hourly. Yeah, so the 4 hourly got its golden cross, dumps down into it immediately, had a little rally, dumped down onto 10 exponential again, and it's all around the 1 cent zone, which is a nice psychological number for the crypto noobs to remember. Which again, this is a really good way to look at anything really. It's psychological numbers. They work very well. It's a 1 cent. People will think 1 cent. It's easy to remember. We count in tens. We're humans. We evolved from apes, and we've always had 10 fingers, which is why we like to count to 10. It's easiest for us to count to 10 because that's how we've learned to do it. So yeah, that's how we do stuff. So yeah, 1 cent, very strong. Let's have a look at FET then, shall we? So FET, another coin that I do hold in high regard actually. So let's have a look how we're doing. Okay, so we're outside of this, technically this wedge. We came to the apex of it, which is why it's probably so weak. This is a 4 hourly chart, so that's not particularly helpful. Golden cross, then a death cross, then a golden cross, then a death cross. Yeah, I mean, it's not particularly interesting at the moment, but this area here, this 68 cent zone, is a very decent support that's more or less got tagged every time. But what we're looking at really is something that's slowly creeping out the apex of this triangle, which is a bullish formation. We have got out of it, but it would have been nice to have seen us break out and hold above it sooner rather than right at the very end of it. At the end of the day, I'll be looking to expect this one to move up anyway, but it doesn't look like it's doing anything very special right now. But given the fact that we are outside of this now, you could expect a move. And the move, you could do a very crude measured move, I suppose, and say, alright, if this is where we're breaking out from, we'd be looking to move to roughly around $1 at some point in the not too distant future. But at this very second in time, we could easily come back down to the support of, we'll just call it, just 70 or just below. And if we break down below there, it'll be scary. It'll be squeaky bum time. The thing about FET is that we traded. I say the royal we got in on this on a very, very good signal. It was down at like 0. It was about 5.5 cent. It was my entry point, and we sailed it all the way up until the Chiku span touched the price action, and then we got out, and it was basically a 10x. And I took half profit then, and I let the rest ride all the way down. So it does do big moves up, and it does do big moves down. It did this previously. Big massive move up and a big massive move down, big massive move up, big move down, big move up, and the problem I have is that I'm just scared that it'll just break down again. Not to say that the market favours that kind of move, it just means that it's just that this is its previous behaviour. Up, down, up, down, up, and then I have to expect that there is a possibility that it breaks down, and that would be if we start to close candles below 68 cents again. But I don't think it will, because the market appears to be relatively healthy, but we have to entertain the idea that it could, but it should be redeemed in the end, because it seems to have a nice pattern of up, down, up, down, up, down, even though the ups and the downs are huge each time. I favour more upside than downside personally on this one. It's just a matter of when. And if we just go back to the lower term time frames, it's just accumulation all over the place. You can see we're up above all major moving averages, down below them all, up above them all, down below them all, up above, down below, up, down. And so it doesn't give you any kind of edge. It just tells you that this is the range to be buying in for a move towards $1, and then see where we go from there. Right, where were we? Right. I also started the AI bot the other day around 2.7 cent with some of the AI I had, but it's but is it better to hold spot rather than a bot? Do you think? I was thinking I could use the bot until a stronger trend. Yeah. So I suppose with something like AI where it goes massively up and massively down, that does favour a bot, definitely. But then what you want to do, if you believe that AI is going to is actually going to work out in the end, is that you want to think, well, that we've made some money on this ups and downs, and now I should follow this through with a spot hold, right? So we've gone massively up, that would have been great for your bot, all the way back down, buying it all back, all the way up, excellent, selling it back down again, buying it. So at some point you might want to just think, well, this one's worked out for me okay, I would rather hold it and sell it myself. But I mean, it does. I'll tell you what it reminds me of. If you were watching my channel last year and I was doing a lot of bot trading, I was doing that 1k to 50. Well, it wasn't a particular target, but it ended up being 50k. But I was doing seeing how much I could turn $1,000 in. One of the coins that I used at the time was Holochain, because Holochain had a habit of going all the way up and all the way back down again, which favoured bots. So I was doing BNB to Holochain, just collecting BNB basically with the trading bots, and it did it a few times and then it dumped, and then I was looking at it in the grand picture and I was thinking, this is actually this coin is probably gonna work out in the end and do a massive big move. So I think what I'll do next time it dumps is I'll close the bot down and I'll keep it all as Holochain, and I'll wait it, and then I'll spot traded the rest. I think this is probably the way I would play this if I was doing a bot trade. So I'll be up, down, okay, this has worked out, I've made some more money on this one just from the ups and downs, and then I'd hold it as a spot, because if it does work out, if AI does work out, it'll work out really well. So yeah, you've got to know when to bite the bullet, I suppose. But spot trading is always going to be more profitable than bot trading in a parabolic move. And so if that's what we're expecting to get, which I'm not saying AI is going to get that, it's a massive gamble, but a decent spot trade will blow the socks off any trading bot in the end, because you buy low and you sell high, and that's it. Whereas a trading bot is just buying low, selling high all day, every day. But there's times and places to use bots, you know what I mean? They favour a sideways volatile range, which is what AI has become for the moment. But it's your call, mate. It's your call. AI is a gamble, so it depends how you want to gamble it. CC, can we have a look at EOS? We've done EOS already, so let's have a look at Algo, shall we? So, Algo looking a little worse for wear in many ways, because this big move up is testing our patience with this potential death cross forming on the 4-hourly. Don't think it will, but yeah, it could. Nice reaction on the green 50 exponential. So this is on the daily. This is where things get really interesting. If we look back at how Bitcoin's history, the green 50 exponential is always a turning point for bullish moves, and breaking down below it is horrendous. Holding above it is pretty bullish. So I'd be all right with this one reacting on that exact level and continuing from $1.68. This was a big move up. It needed to consolidate, and that's what it's doing. At the moment, we're still below the center of the Bollinger Band. We're not particularly. It's not a particularly exciting chart on the daily at the moment. But this is basically a well-deserved consolidation. And again, if you want to be sort of crude about what how to work out measured moves, you could think, all right, so what have we got here? I suppose we've got a kind of a. It's not really like that, I suppose, is it? I suppose we could more or less do a flat level of support, if anything at all, about $1.60, and then go, all right, where are we going to go from here? We do our very brief and crude measured move, and as if when we break out, we'd be edging towards basically towards $3 or so. It's proved to us now that it can go bullish, but at the moment it's still within that formation. Let's just check the weekly to see how that looks. Any clues on the weekly of strength or weakness? Still quite high on the money flow index, but and yeah, it's just a consolidation at the moment. We're still within the consolidation, but if you see how we're getting supports on the moving averages, they're fine. They're all right. They're good. So the 10 exponential held it very well, just like the 50 exponential held it well on the daily. So it's just a waiting game on this one, just like a lot of these altcoins. They are primed and they're ready and they're waiting to move, but yeah, we've just got to wait. So we've looked at Sol, we've done OMI, so we'll look at Bell. I know people like to call it OMI, and I sound like a knob for calling it OMI, but that's what I call it, alright? Right, Bell to USDT. I can't say I've really ever looked at this before, so weird old looking chart, but for what it's worth, that big pump brought us above the 200 exponential, and we are being held on the 50, which is nice. So that was an absolutely whopping move over what, a few days. 100% basically, 120%. Massive retrace thus far, but we've set ourselves up in a decent position. So I'd be looking for this, if not, bouncing from here and being held above here, to eventually make its way down to the, wait for these moving averages to catch up with it. And so this doesn't mean that we have lower prices. It just means that we hold this kind of rough area while the 20 or the 21 exponential edge up to start pushing us up again. So this looks quite good, but yeah, it's going to consolidate on the immediate short term from that massive move that it had. So yeah, I mean, it was a contrived golden cross, so a lot of the indicators that we look at here is not that relevant, but I think it's quite good for what it's worth. It's pushed itself into a bullish area, and it should remain there. So long as we don't close candle bodies below $2, I'll be all right. I'll be surprised if we go below this cloud again, so $2.15. I'll be surprised if we went below there again. But it's a weird old looking chart, isn't it? I mean, it's not very old. We'll have a look at the weekly for what it's worth. So where are all these guys? Yeah, $2.11, $2.12, $2.15. So yeah, I'll be looking for this to hold above these now that we've done that move. So yeah, I don't mind it. The one thing I would say is that I don't know how high this could possibly go, because the money flow index already, it's not massively high. It's been up to 91 in the past on the weekly, and that marked, it didn't really particularly mark a top. It diverged, bearish divergence on it. I don't know how far it could possibly push, to be honest, but from what we've just seen recently, yeah, I see this probably continuing over time. So yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. Right. So where were we? CVX. Let's have a look at CVX. I have to say though, a lot of these charts, they don't look bad versus Tether. They are likely have their lows already in. So this one already, what I can see on this is a bit of a cup in handle vibe going off here. So there's your cup, there's your handle, and I suppose this is your breakout here. So a cup in handle with a cup in handle, isn't it? So you've got a giant cup in handle with a small cup in handle. So this one looks like it wants to go and carry on moving actually. So let's just move all that crap out of the way. So no problems with this one actually. Conversion baseline cross above the cloud as well for a continuation signal from this level here from 11. So obviously that's moved a lot from there. So that would have been your signal from that candle body open and close. So from $12.58. That's continuation of 60% so far. Just because that's a really good signal doesn't say it's going to go on forever and ever and ever, but it'll go on until the trend is ended, and that will take for this to touch the price or for this blue to cross the red. So this is a continuation from that price action there, from that specific open and close there around $12.60. So yeah, I'm alright with it. I would be happy to continue in this trend. It depends where you've bought it or if you've bought it at all. But if you've bought it at that level or lower, then I would hold on to this until you get the exit signal on the conversion baseline or the Chiku span. But yeah, that's a good one there with a nice setup. There's obviously it's much more relevant for people who got in at $12.50 or lower than it would be for anyone trying to get in now, because the exit signal will count more for the people who got in on the entry signal. So it's up to you, obviously, what you guys do. Hi, CC. Hope you're doing good. Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. Would you be able to check FET done it OMG? Let's have a look at that. Right. So daily is pretty good. So we're creeping above the 10 exponential, but below the center of the Bollinger Band. So pretty much consolidation still. Again, this trend line doesn't mean that we're breaking out, let's go. It just means that this is the idea. This is consolidation. When you break out of here, we could just go sideways, but it means that consolidation is generally seen to be over, and we would either go up or sideways and up. So this is only the first day, and again we're below the center of the Bollinger Band, so we've got to wait for a bit more of a closure on this one. But it does look okay on the daily for what should be continuation in the not too distant future. And the 4 hourly above all major moving averages, which is good as well, and we're creeping up above the 0 point again, which is good. So yeah, it looks good. It looks good. Like I say, for immediate terms, short-term time frames are not my thing. Long-term time frames, way more my thing. And this looks like it's coming to the end of its consolidation and should continue with its pretty decent uptrend. In all fairness, let's just have a look at the weekly because it's old enough to do that with. So the weekly, is so it's still pretty bullish in all fairness. Even this pullback didn't come down to anything here. We've got a continuation signal on this candle body here, which would have hurt because that candle body closed up here. That created the signal, and then we've basically gone down from that moment. But it is a continuation signal all the same. Money flow index red at 97.4, which is very high, and it's still at 88 now. So I would be cautious of this one when it does make its next move up, because it's proven in the past to go up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. So it's quite high already. So the next big move up, I would be keen to sell it just because of safety purposes. Really, doesn't mean it can't continue. It just means that I'd be a bit afraid. Dent. Let's have a look at Dent. So we've got 10 minutes left, and my voice, it's going. So Dent on the daily above all major moving averages, which is nice. We've never had a death cross, so we're essentially continuation from this uptrend, even though we consolidated and dumped massively. But that was September, so no big deal. It was at the mercy of the market. So obviously this has been a massive mover in the past, so I can see why people want a piece of the action again. So we're above all major moving averages on the weekly. So again, another altcoin, like many altcoins, suggesting that lows are already in, and all that you're going to have to do is wait for the trend to begin. And this was the case. This is why I brought up that example, of the last lead up to the alt season, where Bitcoin broke out and left alts behind, but then at the end of the day, the altcoins still came out and surpassed Bitcoin in the end. But if you want to make the most of the market as a whole, you do the Bitcoin run first, then you move into the altcoins for their runs, and then you move back into Bitcoin, or maybe into your fiat or tether, whatever it is that you choose to take profit into. So yeah, these all seem primed to continue with their uptrends, but I think Bitcoin is going to dominate for a short period of time until these finally get the whether it's the rotation or or fresh money coming into it, or both. They're all primed, and I think that the lows are likely in on these sort of things already. You're just going to have to sit and wait for them. That's the only problem. And DGB. That's why I made that video yesterday, really. Because as much as I've been touting for Bitcoin dominance to increase, and I've been going on about how I bought more Bitcoin, well, I moved into Bitcoin at a much larger Bitcoin position about 4 weeks ago in anticipation for what is playing out now. Both total market cap, including and excluding Bitcoin, have a very, very, very bullish setup, right? Very bullish, very bullish. And so, long story short, when both, whether it's including or excluding Bitcoin, the total market caps have got epic signals on them, and I would expect everything, to have its time in the sun. That's why I say a blind monkey or your pet hamster will probably make some money this year from just, running across your keyboard and buying stuff, because I think that that's how it's going to play. But if you really want to make the most of it, you do the rotation, and that's why I said how the market's different. The market cap went up 800% last time this event took place. It's unlikely to do that now, so if you really want to make the most of it, you do it through a rotation of Bitcoin into altcoins and altcoins into Bitcoin. But anyway, I repeat myself all the time, but you see where I'm coming from. So this one on the weekly, not quite as strong, not quite as strong. A bit of a lagger, it's below most moving averages, and there's nothing particularly interesting on the weekly, so a little weaker than most that we've seen. Not really a great position to be on the daily either. I mean, it's just today come out of these other moving averages, which again are all moving in the same place. So this one's a little bit more of a gamble, and probably one of those ones that might lag behind everything else, just based on its positioning at the moment. It's below everything it needs to be on before it can be considered any kind of uptrend. That's the daily. Let's have a look at the 4 hourly. There's any clues on the 4 hourly? So I've maybe the very first signs of an uptrend form here, because we're above the 200. But again, there's not much to it. I'd leave this one alone for the moment and wait for brighter days on that one. Right, can we have a look at DOT to BTC? Yeah, let's have a look at that. DOT to BTC, come on. Right, so DOT to BTC, 4 hourly, above all major moving averages, golden crossed over here. Consolidation looks like it's pretty much over really on price action and on RSI. So we're breaking out on this one. This one looks okay on the 4 hourly. Let's move it to a daily, see how we look there. So the 4 hour looks good. Daily, nice reactions on the 200 exponential, so pretty bullish stuff really. So might be subject to some choppy behavior with Bitcoin acting the way it is, and taking sats and giving them back. But yeah, it looks okay. I mean, a nice uptrend here. We're still golden crossed from here. We're looking good on the 4 hourly. So this one might favor a bot, for instance. You've got choppy range, ups and downs, relatively decent, strong level of support, be in the 200 exponential. So that would be roughly about, was it 5,700, 5,800 sats. So you can stick yourself a little grid range within that area and just leave it to play. And again, this one probably will outperform Bitcoin, or at least trail up behind it quite modestly, and then when all is said and done, it'll probably break out quite nicely. So yeah, I quite like that, to be honest. It's looking pretty good there. And our favourite XRP, so we've done that, and XRP it's just doing its normal thing. It's just, tether pairing, it's okay. Bitcoin pairing, it's approaching a potential bottom, but don't hold me to that. Losing hope on EOS. Do you have any? Do you to do anything meaningful for the rest of this bull run while everything else moons? So yeah, we did look at that very briefly, and it does look like it's it is. You can't spin it in too much of a bullish light, obviously, but there is a chance that it's hit a bottom now with Bitcoin and could move up. But again, I wouldn't sell my kidneys for that. But don't disregard EOS altogether. So we've done AI. Right, so we can do a couple more. What's this? DERO. Never heard of it, so I'm interested to look. It's a Qcoin beast, right? Okay, so that's off the bat. That's pretty impressive looking chart, but that's a rare old beast, isn't it? So from right here where our golden cross began, from where we're at right now, geez, pretty awesome stuff, I have to say. So it's going to uptrend until it can't uptrend anymore. And something like this, I would say, let's check the weekly money flow index to see how wrecked we could become. And to be honest with you, we peaked over here at 96, and that was all the way over here. So the normal rules do not apply to something like this. Look, I mean, it's going to uptrend until it stops. There's no other way to cut it. when we're looking at something that trades less than 500,000 in a 24-hour period, and we see something that's gone up like this and still trades so low, it does you do have to entertain the idea that this will have one day a rug pull, right? And I'm not saying that it's manipulation or anything. It's just the nature of how this chart has been built up on low liquidity. So not much money has gone into this to create such enormous gains. So, you know, if you put $10,000 in this right now, you'd probably move the market. So whoever's made the most amount of money throughout here are probably going to be, you know, they're going to be very well off, even if they just put $100 or $200 or $300, $500 in. They're going to be very, very up, and they're going to want to take profit at some point. And then, if we're not trading, if loads of money doesn't fall into this, then it will create very big, nasty red candles. But for the moment, for what the chart's worth, which again, you know, it's not worth much really. And the reason I say that is that it's bullish, but we could be fooled just by the nature of this chart and its liquidity issue. Really, it could easily dump, but until it dumps, it's in an uptrend, and the uptrend shall continue until it can't continue anymore. You know what I would say though on something like this is, because it is so low liquidity and it looks so bullish, it might just attract more people to it, and it would have one of those blow off top moments, and that's probably when you'd want to get out. Me personally, I probably wouldn't want to get in on this one, because it trades so low and it's already gone up so high that I'd be willing. You would be looking to risk way more than you look to receive back. But I mean, yeah, if you're in on that one, epic. And I would probably look to sell on what would be a clear blow off top incident, really. Right, one more then. I got in that ugly scam coin CNS. You think it can go back to or sell? I can't tell you what to buy and when to sell. It's just not the done thing to do. But I have to tell you myself, I did sell. I did sell mine on the way up. I didn't get out at the top, but I got out at just below a 0.001. And I've had that for ages. And somehow, you know, because of the massive staking rewards on it, I managed to make some serious profit. But yeah, I got out, and it was a sad day, especially when I sold it and I saw it continue to go up, and I was like, oh, maybe the prophecy of $1 is true, but I don't think it is true. I don't know what it's going to do, to be honest with you. I really don't know what it's going to do, so it's up to you what you do with it. I think we're going to retest the breakout for support. Right, okay, well, I'll tell you what, we'll look at Pund. Now, there's no point in looking at PundDX. It's very simple stuff. You've got to break above $1.83 and stay above there for any kind of uptrend to begin. So we'll look at Atom, and then that'll do for us now. But if anyone wants to join the Patreon, we do this sort of thing twice a week. I just opened it up at the last little minute for anyone who's interested. But yeah, you can join the Patreon. You get 2 of these live streams a week, and we usually spend about 2 hours looking at stuff. So right, Atom to USDT is looking pretty good. We've got a conversion baseline cross above the cloud. That's a continuation signal from here. We're bounced on the 10 exponential on the weekly. Pretty bullish stuff, really. Above all major moving averages, curling up nicely on the MACD, breaking out of what looks like the consolidation. And doesn't mean it's going to immediately shoot up. It just means that this downtrend is likely over, and that the low is it might get retested, which is 32, but it's probably already in. But again, you know, when we're talking about altcoins and stuff, just to reiterate, you know, we could easily have some nice alt rallies from now, as Bitcoin has proven that the market appears to be healthy, and Bitcoin dominance chart could have a retrace below the 200 exponential for a miniature rotation. So up down up down up down. Obvious place for it to be rejected around here. We could be looking for a 46 flat, or maybe at best maybe a 44.5, which would be a major support level, because that's where we found some decent supports and resistances around 44.5, which is around these levels here. So we could come down to retest that before we move back up again. So there is definite opportunity in alts. I'm not gonna lie to you. And these charts, we've looked at quite a lot of them this evening, and a lot of them do look like they're ready to have miniature, decent breakouts. You know, so Bitcoin dominance is goes both ways. It's no uptrend just goes straight up, like no downtrend goes straight down. And if you're looking to make the most out of a rotation and you've got the time to do it, then you could try and do these sort of things like this. But for me, I'm looking to do the larger rotations at higher levels. But yeah, I mean, the charts like this do show that consolidations are over, lows appear to be in, moving averages are being respected. They're not bearish. They're not bearish. If anything, they are bullish. And so this one looks pretty good on the daily and on the weekly. Let's check the 4-hourly. So just narrowly avoided a death cross and gone bullish again. And money flow index peaking at the moment at 89, so we could obviously go higher if you wanted to. So I'm alright with Atom. It looks pretty good to me. There's no point in me trying to make educated guesses on where these things are going to go. It's all about momentum for me, momentum and trend, and it looks like downtrend is over, momentum is gaining to the up, and so in that respect, I would be in favour of this one and many others that we've looked at this evening in having at least a run, if not spotting essentially a low being in. And the only reservation I have is that Bitcoin being as bullish as it is and the dominance chart looking as bullish as it is, I would expect Bitcoin to continue up, Sats to get drained a little bit more over the coming weeks before a larger rotation kicks in, and that's where we finally decide to part with some of our beloved Bitcoin into altcoins and make the most of a larger rotation. Right, and that will mark the end of this live stream, I'm afraid. I can't go on forever. But like I say, if you want to join the Patreon, if you're not already a member, there's a link in the description below. Otherwise, join the Telegram. That's free, and we just talk about crypto and obviously what else are you going to talk about? Right, I'm going to leave it with you there, guys. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a nice evening, and take